Select Board meeting of Tuesday, June 14th to order. And first item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Seconded, are there any changes? I do see there's a couple changes that are posted in the packet. Item 5 and agenda addition, approval of the town's consent to the merger between the Addison Partnership and the Smith Partnership, with the Addison Partnership being the surviving partnership. That's something that's kept getting slid. No, one time we didn't put it on the agenda. We need to add it back in.
Twice.
The next is item 7. We added, there was another application for the DRB, Andrew Klein, so that's been added to the packet. And then agenda item 9, approval of utility relocation agreement for V-Trans culvert replacement project on Route 116. Is there anything that, other than that, to add? No. See, there are none. All in favor of approving the agenda with the 3 additions, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next is approval of the consent agenda.
Moved.
Second.
You guys were a little slow on the upstart there.
I thought you were going to go into some explanation on the consent. That's why we were waiting for you.
I had already fallen asleep, so.
Oh, dear.
We've got the reappointment in the consent agenda. A couple things to draw notice to is the reappointment of fire chief and police chief to our regional emergency management committee, and an update on the bird scooters. There's Caitlin Goodspeed, the bird senior account manager, has told Chief Hanley that they have found a person to manage the fleet here, Derek Ducharme, and so we expect that the fleet should be rolling out sometime here fairly soon.
What's the date on that, Brian? Because the chief sent a thing to the Health and Safety Committee that said, with an update, I'm trying to find it.
Well, that letter said early next week. The letter was the email was dated May 27th, so they've missed that by a couple of weeks already, so I don't know.
Yeah, let me find the email.
When did Health and Safety meet?
They didn't, just the chief sent out a,
He sent
sent
out
out an update and said that that had fallen through.
all the individual is no
Oh.
longer.
Yes.
Okay. So we should, if that's the case,
Very sure.
we should amend our consent agenda.
I'm trying to find it, so I know I'm,
There's a query function on your email.
Everybody's saucy today.
It is saucy.
wow, this is a tough crowd. I'm gonna go sit under the table for the rest of the,
We
so,
may not have to amend anything in the
Yeah, this-
consent agenda because it's just town manager report,
Mhm.
right?
Well, if we approve it, it's posted to the minutes. We should make it accurate. I'm just thinking because these get sent out and put on the minutes. But let's leave it at that. We will approve everything except for that might need to be updated.
Okay.
So like,
Sounds great.
are you friendly motion?
Friendly. Very friendly.
amendment?
Yeah.
Okay. And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next, we have citizens' comments, and I know we have citizens here for something that is not on the agenda. Feel free to come forward. Thank you.
sitting at the other
John and
side,
Madeline Cheney, 5 North Street.
sitting on the other side of the table.
Thank you for having us. I sent you a copy of a letter that I had sent to the college on Monday of this week, and then followed that with a cover letter to this board. So I think you're aware of the situation. And for the for the public, what we're here about is a real problem in our neighborhood of student behavior in rented housing in the middle of the block at 53 North Pleasant Street, where we believe it's a total of 7 students are housed from Middlebury College, but they have been conducting a series of parties there on that property. The property is under new ownership. It was passed in the late fall or winter period, and so these parties started showing up as the weather turned good in the spring, and we've seen a series of them. And the parties are marked by a very large population of students coming in, well over 100 at each turn. The last one was at Memorial Day, and that, by the count of one neighboring resident, had up to 180 people at this party. So really, it's something out of scale, what we've seen experienced in my reckoning in the town. And it's marked by having these kids trooping across people's lawns to get to the parties. They have no toilet facilities, so they use the lands of the property they're on, and all of us as neighbors, they do that. The music is loud. There's a barn there that's been made into somewhat of a party barn. And so they're really hosting these parties as half into the barn and out in the open air all around. And as a consequence, the noise is very high. There's no provision for parking. There's no provision for any kind of crowd control. Drinking is high, legal and illegal combination with that crowd. And there, despite our complaints, there's been no change. And the owner has no interest in changing. He's pleased at the improvements he's made to his property, but has not expressed any concern for the improvements and the well-being of the properties and residents surrounding. So we're in a situation where our neighborhood is threatened. We met this week with the College Dean of Students, Derek Doucette, and tried to establish a working relationship there towards betterment of the situation. We've seen some apologies from the college on this score, but no solid efforts yet from them. And so at this point, we're feeling that there needs to be some pressure put to bring the college up to standard. They're not being good citizens on this effort. It's clear that they are not taking care in how they set their students out in the community. They're not monitoring what's going on. Brian, when we talked this afternoon, you said you had spoken with Sue Ritter about this, and it seemed to be news to her. So the college is not taking stock of what's going on, even though this has been going on for a little while. So on that score, I think we need to make this a public event so that people know what is the problem, and that the college needs to do more. But I think also, as I said to you earlier, I think the town needs to do more as well. When these problems started coming up, we started looking at what are the zoning ordinances in the town, and there is a provision on rooming houses, but that's somewhat vague, and it's particularly vague in terms of how the zoning board is applying. The noise ordinance has a very liberal base. Noise limits are not really prescribed. There's not clear direction on what constitutes a problem that the police needs to damp down. So I think we need more done in that regard. And we have, to my knowledge, no rules or standards for very large gatherings like this on private lands. If you wanted to go down to the park and have a big gathering, you would need to come in here and get a permit for that activity. And that would require you to show how the activity is going to be managed, how it's going to be overseen, how it's going to be controlled. And none of that's being done for these things on private lands, simply because the town hasn't experienced that kind of thing, really. And the ordinances are not equipped to deal with it. So I think we need to do more in that regard. So we want first to bring it to your attention. And we would hope to enlist the select board and the townspeople in an effort to press the college to do a better job, to be better citizens, and to make and ensure that their students are better citizens, and to toughen up some of the standards here so that we have more protection. This is a real threat to our neighborhoods. We live in a neighborhood which is, I think, common among nice neighborhoods all throughout the town, where people are respectful of one another, friendly and helpful to one another, and certainly are careful not to infringe on others' privacy and well-being. And this blows that all out of the water. And so it becomes a threat to our enjoyment and our value in our properties here. And we just can't let this go on. It's unacceptable. And if you had it going on next to you, I tell you, you would know right away it's unacceptable altogether. Okay?
I actually have a very similar situation next to me. I am a few blocks away from you at Seminary in Washington, and the building across the street from me was recently converted into student housing.
And son of gun, it's the same owner.
It is, okay.
Three properties.
Yeah. What is the response that you've gotten from the owner? Have you received anything in writing?
No,
From him?
the owner, I did not react well to him when he called me.
Oh,
He did call me once. But he was very high on what he had done to improve his properties and the investment that he had made, seemingly without any regard for the investments that all about him had made and have done so for years and years. And had no interest in changing horses in terms of how things are handled, because he gets an outlandish rent from those college students.
Has, I believe it's 11 o'clock is the time to be quiet. Has the police
It's
not
10
responded?
o'clock on weeknights,
Yeah, and 11 on
but
weekends.
it's 1 o'clock
Oh,
on
yeah, 1.
Friday, Saturday, and holidays. So that's way late.
I've had the police come over to the inn on the very infrequent time we had anything outside, and if it was too noisy, even before 1 or 10 o'clock, they told us to tone it down.
Well, that's the thing. I think that the Swift House Inn, which you know well, shows that in a neighborhood like ours, that kind of mixed use can be a real asset.
Right.
And certainly we who live there feel it is so. And that well-managed, you can do a lot of different things in a residential neighborhood and do them compatibly. And I would hope to do more of that. And that's great, but people have to be respectful of one another.
Yeah.
I've
It sounds
seen,
like there's a lot of laws being broke. I mean, you can't go urinate in public, and you
No.
can't drink when you're underage.
Right?
I've seen at least 2 or 3 more of these kind of complaints on social media. People, one of them was another neighbor of yours has, Madeline stopped by last week to my store and she spoke to me about this, but another customer of mine had stopped by and complained about the same thing. And I saw on Front Porch Forum also that they were complaining about, and they are specific to the college kids, all of these complaints. So, yeah.
Now, we are a neighbor to the east side of this property, or the rear of it. The party barn that I've described is a lot line structure, and it butts right up to our property. The neighbors on the side, and Katie Cover, who is one of them, may be on Zoom now, I'm not sure, and I hope that she is, because she and the other neighbor on the other side really bear even a greater brunt of distress from this. They've had cars driving across their lawns to go at people urinating in gardens, all kinds of things like that that never should go on.
So I don't think any further public flagellation of the, of the college is necessary. I think we got the point.
Yep.
I don't think more people speaking on Zoom is going to make anything different. And I think we need to number one, talk with the college and make that an emphasis point.
And I thank you for reaching out to Sue
Yeah.
Ritter already.
And number two, to relook with chief what's appropriate. I don't know if having assemblage permits, because that penalizes anybody who's want to have a wedding or anything, they got to go. Now we're already fighting permits on town property, and so that may be a step too far for an initial attempt to rectify.
You could have a wedding there.
Well, and you know, weddings are great, and those are, we don't expect to have to get a permit to have a wedding on private property, so that may be a step too far. I think you've lined out an entire array of options here, but I think we really need to get with chief and see what is enforceable that we're not already enforcing. Because I think there's stuff there. We've had these kids around forever, and we haven't had this level of a problem in years. And I think some of it's getting the biggest thing is getting college emphasis on it.
Yeah, we've both seen at other points in time, there have been other incidents. I certainly remember in my select board days, we had some peaks and
Yeah.
mostly we have had valleys. I'm pleased to say as so as you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is bad, and it does appear to tie to one particular property owner, which is too bad.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's why rules need to come into play.
Yeah.
Because it only takes one bad apple to really spoil the bunch.
We have a fairly heavy sanction here. It looks like there's a $1,000 fine per incident available to the city. If we could figure out a fair way of visiting this upon the property owner who negligently allows disturbance of the peace, there may be a way to make it worth his while to care about these things.
Joshua?
I have one point that is kind of off the subject, but not really. As we mentioned, it's a really nice neighborhood. We've got a lot of birds and wildlife and squirrels. There was a pair of cardinals nesting in the tree right next to the party barn. And we watched as they made their nest and started to raise their young, and now they're gone. They got pushed out by the noise and the parties. I don't know why else they would move. But I think that's talent. I know that seems funny, but I think it's
Come to
talent.
the seat here so that we can see on the camera.
I'm Jonathan Miller, I'm 15 Seminary, so
Okay.
I also listen. I wasn't as bothered because I usually plug in. But I did notice during the weekdays, the parties were very loud until midnight. And then they wound down and they were silent by 12:30. On the weekends, they went to 1. But that was quite loud, so they exceeded the sound limits both times. People in my building that go that 10:30 and they were really loud. I go to that.
Okay, well, we are not an agenda item here.
Let's
so-
keep in touch on this.
Yeah, we
And I'll let
appreciate
you
you.
know what we hear back from the college on this.
Okay, we'll communicate back and forth,
Yeah,
but we'll be pushing as hard as we can to get resolved here.
okay.
Are
Okay.
there any things that we could do, like getting a list of neighbors that would sign something if you need that?
I don't think that's important. What's important is documenting when it happens and you know, and making sure that Chief Hanley, calling to report it so it gets logged. That's more important than getting a mob to testify. I mean, we don't discount what you say. We believe what you say. So now it's a matter of taking action and
Concrete action.
concrete action, yeah. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you all.
Graduation May is when it happens.
yeah.
Oh, it'll be quiet this summer.
Is there anybody on the Zoom?
Yeah, Fred is there, Karen's there, and Sue is there from the college.
Okay.
Nobody has their hand up, so.
So, next, approval of the town's consent to the merger between the Addison Partnership and the Smith Partnership, with the Addison Partnership being the surviving partnership. The
Sorry,
board's,
interrupt. Are you expecting anyone for this to come in?
from where?
Like anyone on Zoom to come in for this agenda item?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
So there's a draft consent to the merger in our packet, and in addition to formalizing the town's consent for the merger to take place, the document specifies that the Addison Partnership, as a surviving partnership, will be bound by all terms and conditions of the original loan agreement and all related loan documents. So it effectively simplifies it from multiple partnerships down to one partnership. And and they still have the same responsibilities. Is there any questions? Is there a question at all on this particular act? If there's not, then I would ask for the pleasure of the
I'll
board.
move to authorize Town Manager Kathleen Ramsey to sign the consent to merger between Addison Housing Limited Partnership and Smith Housing Limited Partnership on behalf of the town.
Moved and seconded. Again, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, I do expect Karen to come
She's
in.
available?
She's there.
I think I'm moving her into, yeah.
Is she in Zoom?
Yep.
Oh, hey, Karen. So
She might
Karen's
not be
here
able
to.
to-
Hi guys, oh, I'm good. I'm blinding you here. Now I feel a little better.
You're in the car.
You're in the car.
I am in the car. I'm actually at my son's baseball game, so I appreciate that.
Oh,
You zoom in so that I didn't have to miss too much of that today. Those, the days go by really fast when they're this age, so I try to get in as many of them as I can.
yeah, don't miss them. So you want to bring us up to date on BMP activities?
Yes, definitely. So I wanted to start with Kickstart. You guys got, I'm assuming, the press release that we sent out in your packet that details out the winners of the round 2 funding that we had. I wanted to see if you had any questions. I can go through that, but I'm assuming everybody had a chance to take a look at it. Do you want me to run through? I want to be cognizant of your time too. So do you want me to run through that, or do you want to just ask any questions that you have about the process and the round 2 winners?
I think it was in the packet. Anybody have any questions on that? We're excited to get some more tenants downtown, I'd say, so that's great.
Yeah, definitely. I am too, and all really strong candidates, and I think bringing a lot of experience to the table. And I'm particularly excited about the retail component of a few of these too. We're missing a few retailers still in the downtown. 2 of these spaces have been empty for a really long time, so it's going to be really good to see those filled. And from everything that I'm hearing, those are within the next couple months. So that'll be really great. If anybody has any questions, please always feel free to reach out. And I want to talk about the summer market. So we started this on May 19th. This came about from a grant from Table 21 that enabled us to hire a market manager and also bring in live music every week. And this Thursday will be our 5th market so far. We have not had the best weather. So I feel like every week I watch the weather report on like Monday morning and it's like, oh, the week's gonna be beautiful, except for Thursday. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. But so far the vendors are growing every week and they seem really happy to be there. The people are definitely starting to know that this is happening on a consistent basis and we're getting people coming downtown. It's just something to do, which is exactly what we wanted. Nan Carpenter is our market manager and she is absolutely phenomenal. Some of you know her better than others, but she is fantastic and just a ball of energy, and I'm so happy to be working with her. The vendors absolutely love her, which is just, it's all around just a really great experience. We are keeping track every week of the revenue that the vendors are doing because all of them are local businesses, so this is all economic development. And we're also trying to figure out ways to pull that crowd into our existing businesses. We've offered up an opportunity for any of them to do some sort of discount or incentive for the evening. We've offered up spaces for them to come to the market for free if any brick and mortar wants to come. And so, I would say we're still kind of getting our feet under us as school's just getting out and the summer tourists are coming, but it really feels like we're starting to hit a stride here, and I'm really excited to see this happening. Any questions about the market?
What's the occupancy right now on the vendor side?
Yeah, actually, I'm so glad you asked that question. So we started out thinking that we were going to fit, if you guys recall, the conversations that we had about the park when we were getting it started, we were talking about, could it fit a farmer's market? It's going to be too small, right? As soon as we started putting those tents up, we were thinking, okay, maybe 12, 15 vendors. We can easily fit 50 vendors between that space, wrapped around by the gazebo. I mean, and if we utilize Merchants Row, I mean, this could be one of the biggest markets in the area by far.
This could be the farmer's market.
And I wanted to mention too that we are working with the farmers market. We have been in conversations with them about the possibilities of them sort of seeing this as a stepping off point at some point to maybe possibly being interested in coming back downtown. We've sort of said to them that this is a no-risk participation. We're doing the coordination, we're doing the music. Just come, we're offering farmers market vendors a 50% discount every week to be there. And just saying, like, just test it out and see if it works. And if you're happy with it, let's talk next year or even the year after. But, we would happily hand this off if the farmers market is interested at some point in wanting to come down and just take this over again. Awesome. So I think one thing that has been clear week after week, regardless of the weather, people are so excited to see it happening. We get that comment the entire night, how great it is to see something going on in that space. And that's really what that space was designed for, right? It's just filled with people. And so it feels really good. If you haven't come down yet, please do. It's a really fun night, and it's a really good experience. Any other questions about that? And then we've got a couple other things. The market's definitely a little more work than I was expecting. I think probably Nan feels the same. And I'm hoping that we'll hit a stride here as we get into it a little bit more. It's just taken a lot to get it set up. But we've got a block party that we're hoping to do this year. So I actually just filled out the public assemblage permit. We're hoping for August 4th. So you guys will probably be seeing that across your desks pretty soon. And then I expect to come back with another meeting to have the conversation with you about exactly what we're looking at. But we're going to do it on a market night. So part of the planning is already done. We'll have the vendors, we'll have the music, We're going to utilize the plaza space by the Triangle Park and then the green, and I'm anticipating really only closing the stretch by the post office as opposed to all the way down the street. So I think that's going to it'll be a nice sort of hybrid of the market and this other event. So that will be great. And then in October, we're teaming up with the Chamber of Commerce to do an antique car show and fall fair. And so that's going to be October 16th. And we're looking to close the road. That's a Sunday. We're looking to close Main Street on that. We did fill out a public assemblage permit for that already. And so Phil Summers from the Chamber and I will be in front of you as we get a little closer to start going over the details and the logistics of that as well.
Fun.
I think that's kind of the highlights for me right now. Anybody have any questions about either of those two things?
No.
Has the car show thing happened in this area before?
It happened in Bristol for a couple years, and then the folks that did it actually disbanded from what I understand, and so Bristol is not having a car show. So the Chamber was involved in it, and so they're bringing it to Middlebury. They don't have a Middlebury event.
Yeah.
So this is the first event since the Maple Run used to be a chamber event. And so it's really great to see them do something really on a large scale, and I'm excited to team up with them. And I think we're going to have a really good time working together and bringing a lot of people. Car show enthusiasts are, they will travel, right?
They sure do, yeah, absolutely.
And bringing a lot of folks in.
Yeah. The Stowe event is always huge. I think we need one down here. That's great.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I'm excited to be part of it for sure.
The Stowe event's out in that field, right?
Yeah.
This one will be, they're talking about shutting down everything east of the bridge.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be on mostly hardscape, and it'll be our first
Yeah.
time doing that, other than the block party after the dance, after
Right.
Festival on the Green.
Right. The last night of, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we used to close the downtown with Chili Fest.
Chili Fest. Yeah.
Chili Fest
That was
was
my
huge.
last one. Really, yeah. Block party.
Close the whole
So
downtown.
it's been a
And I
while
will
since
say
we had
too,
anything of that.
we did amend the permit to, per Chief Hanley's recommendation. We're gonna close it up until Mill Street so that we maintain access to those businesses. And we don't close it all the way down to the town office because, Stone Mill is gonna have, guests that weekend most likely. It's pretty a significant disruption because it only being the one way. On the other side. So we're going to stop right at Mill Street, but we're hoping to be able to go all the way up to, the top of Main. And then one of the things that we're working on now is just outreach to the churches because it is a Sunday. And we have already talked to Tri-Valley, MREMS, Chief Shaw, and Chief Hanley. So we're working our way through on the communication side.
Great.
Any other questions?
Awesome.
I think we're good. Now we can get back to the ball game.
I know. Oh.
What's the score?
Thank you, guys. So I think my son's team was winning when I came over, but I just heard some cheering from the other side, so I gotta go check it out.
Excellent.
See you, Karen.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Okay,
Hi, Karen.
Bye.
It's exciting to see all the activity that's starting to mushroom in the downtown. We've been without it for so long here, so.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We get some good weather. That Thursday night's going to be fun.
Yes.
Just
I
rain
know.
most of the time.
If it rains again this Thursday, that'll be 4 out of 5
Right.
Thursdays that it's rained.
Man. And
The one time it didn't
otherwise
rain?
Amazing weather.
Was when we were on vacation.
There you go.
Guess we'll just have to
Rain
take a
cloud.
vacation, yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Okay, next is nominations for appointment to the Development Review Board. And in accordance with 24 VSA Section 127-308, the town recently advertised for candidates interested in completing Ann Taylor's term on the Development Review Board, which expires in April of 2023. At the time that this was printed originally, there were no new applications submitted. And so the staff reached out to Jonathan Miller, Viger Bowe, and Phyllis Stinson, who had applied earlier in the spring for appointment to the DRB, and all expressed continued interest in serving. Since then, yesterday, Andrew Klein also submitted an application for appointment. We'll be doing our decision. This is where we make a nomination for appointment, and then we will decide in 2 weeks at the next board meeting. And I think I would like to encourage all the candidates to be available to say hi and talk to us at that meeting. Is anyone on right now? Because Jonathan's here, and maybe just have Jonathan say hi to us while he's here, so he doesn't have to come at the next one if he doesn't want to.
You want to come up and introduce yourself?
So we did meet Jonathan on Zoom last time. And
I was actually here,
were you here?
yeah. And, but the time before I was, or 2 times before I was in.
I remember I met you one time on Zoom, yes. So, just familiarize us again with your background. I know you've got experience in some of this.
Yes, I could probably talk for an hour.
Yeah, give it 2-minute update.
Take all the time you want, 2 minutes.
All the time I want within 2 minutes, yeah. I'm an architect and a specifier with 40 years experience in architecture, over 30 registered. During that time, I volunteered professionally for a number of organizations, AIA, CSI, Construction Specifications Institute, a co-op, 2 co-ops, 3 co-ops, food co-ops. So I was on multiple boards over that time. I've been chair of different committees on different levels, all the way up to Institute. I'm a fellow of CSI. I'm the only fellow ever in Vermont. And I spend my days sitting at a computer. My job is to work with manufacturers around the world to be included in Master Spec. Master Spec is the guide specification. There's about 1,000 sections that are used by 80,000 architects. And I'm one of the people that, actually I comment on Master Spec. I run one of their programs called Product Master Spec, where I work with the manufacturers to pre-edit it for their products. So I've been doing that for 6.5 years, worked with 500 different manufacturers. Before that, I've been, besides a draftsman with a tape ball that big, and I rolled a computer up to my desk and stopped that. I'm a master draftsman, master detailer, project architect, project designer, project manager. $140 million worth of construction as an project architect, and $3.8 billion in construction as a specifier. So I'm very experienced with that. My dad was a planner, so I grew up with that. I became an architect because he didn't like them. But I did work with him when he went through his development phase, when he was a developer. So I'm in that development as well.
I'm thinking that CSI doesn't mean crime scene investigation in this context.
Construction Specifications Institute.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Started by the architect of the Navy, architect of the Capitol.
Okay.
Back in 1958. There were about 500 fellows ever since then.
Nice.
Questions?
Okay.
They
Well,
qualify.
we appreciate your continued interest, and we will be, we'll be making a decision on the 20 Trying to find it in my
28.
notes, 28, so, yeah, 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks for being here.
thank you, Jonathan. So I would entertain a motion for nomination appointment.
I'll move to enter Jonathan Miller, Vega Bo, and Phyllis Stinson, and Andrew Klein into nomination for appointment to the vacant seat on the DRB expiring in April 2023.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, next is our
Oh, I'm sorry.
zoning.
Fred has his hand up.
Who does?
Fred Dunnington?
Okay.
Hang on just a second.
Good work on the Zoom.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, Fred?
So I would just say how pleased I am that you have many qualified applicants for this board. In my 32 years of working with boards and dozens of members, I would just say that, in my opinion, it's not so much whether they have a particular qualification as an architect or real estate investor or knowledge of the town, so much as they have wisdom. And that they have the ability to listen, and if they don't know the answer to what is unreasonable traffic congestion or what is an unsafe condition or whatever it is, or good standards in the zoning provide, that they have the wisdom to ask for more information to help them understand it. So the skill you're looking for, wisdom, in appointing these people. And I think it's great that you have the candidates that you have. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Nice seeing you.
That's a hard one to figure out.
I'm gonna
Tough
put
to
you back
measure
in the
that.
audience, Fred,
Thrown out.
I think.
Okay, so next on the agenda is we need to warn the zoning bylaw amendments for a public hearing. And in accordance with the 24 VSA Section 441G, Planning and Zoning Director Jennifer Murray has officially submitted for our consideration the proposed amendment to Middlebury's zoning bylaws and the Planning Commission's updated report summarizing the revisions. This latest iteration reflects updates the Planning Commission has made since its May 26th public hearing on the matter. A link to all documents related to the amendment can be found at the 2022 Middlebury Zoning and Subdivision Regulations Update page on the town website. Under Section 4442 of the same chapter, it now falls upon the Select Board to warn the first of two required public hearings to take community testimony on the proposed amendment. Using the bylaw amendment schedule and the plan and bylaw adoption tools that Jen has provided as guidance and shared with us when we had her in for our strategic planning session, scheduling the first hearing for the board's July 12th meeting would meet statutory requirements for both the 30-day waiting period following bylaw amendment submission and the minimum public notification period prior to the hearing. I do plan on writing, I had said I was going to write something to put into the paper, and Jim Gish and I got together, and Jim's helping me to put something in, because I want to draw attention to this, make sure we get participation, but at the same time asking for buy-in on why it's important for us. This does there's a number of changes in here that help us, that are intended to help us start to make progress in the housing, the lack of housing. And so I would encourage anybody who's watching to go to the town's website and look at the 2022 Middlebury Zoning and Subdivision Regulations Update, and certainly reach out to us if you have questions. We'd love to hear from you. Jen obviously is our staff expert on this, but board. It's now been turned over to the board to walk it through some of its final steps. Any questions or comments on that? And I would seek a motion.
I'll move to warn a public hearing for the board's regular meeting on Tuesday, July 12th, to take testimony on the proposed bylaw amendments to the Middlebury zoning and subdivision regulations.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, well, they've put a lot of work into that. I can't believe they've stayed right on that. Jen's a taskmaster, isn't she?
Yes.
Next is approval of the utility relocation agreement for V-Trans culvert replacement project on Route 116. V-Trans submitted for board approval a utility relocation agreement for the state's project to make improvements to bridge number 3 on Route 116. It's also known as the Dow Pond Culvert. That's how I know it, how probably most everybody around here knows it. The town owns a water line passing through the state's right-of-way within the construction area. From our DPW Planning Director, Dan Warner, this is an agreement between the town and the state of Vermont for the water main replacement within the construction area of the Dow Pond Culvert under Route 116. The state will replace the water main through its contractor performing the culvert work. The town will reimburse the state based on actual quantities. The estimated cost is $66,469.70 based on an estimate from Landmark Design, who's our consultant and designer of the initial project completed in 2020. The town will provide on-site inspection of the work at our cost. Funds have been reserved for this project. I don't know if you want to say anything about this, Heather. You got any comments on it? No?
I don't, this has been a couple of years in
Yeah.
the making, and we have already done some work we needed to do to accommodate the move. So,
Okay.
pretty straightforward.
Any questions? Then pleasure of the board.
I'll move to authorize the town manager, Kathy Ramsey, to sign the utility relocation agreement with V-Trans for the state's project to make improvements to bridge number 3 on Route 116.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Was that Lindsay?
Yes.
I could barely hear.
Oh,
Just-
Yeah,
Sorry.
she seconded.
I'm not taking notes, and so I want to make sure Beth can hear in the recording who.
Okay, yeah, that was me.
Lindsay seconded. Okay.
And any opposed? Okay. Next is approval of the check warrants, and I believe that's Kermit here.
Actually,
You guys swapped?
Lindsay covered for me in the 1st of May, so I swapped.
Oh,
I
okay.
paid her back, so I did the warrant review yesterday. It was a big stack. You lucked out because it was a 3-week.
Sorry.
No, it's
Oh,
totally
that's right, it did.
because it was a 3-week window, so it was quite a stack of review.
So was she doing you a favor to swap?
Did me a favor.
Lindsay knew that.
It's like
so.
time and a half, right?
Yeah,
She looked ahead, said 3 weeks.
yeah. She said, yeah, sure, I'll cover for you.
No problem.
I'll move to approve total expenditures in the amount of $1,339,266.17, consisting of $1,190,173.23 for accounts payable, $149,092.94 for payroll for the period of May 22nd, 2022 through June 14th, 2022.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I made notes too, so when you asked me what was like so big in there, I could tell you.
3 weeks.
And so
I
what
know
was
you
so
had-
big in there?
I know you had the list.
One of them was the
There was a bond payment to
People's United, yeah. I saw.
And then there were there was a payment to Belden on the water line work. There was submersible pump repair. There was a bunch of water line stuff, EJP, FW Webb, Ferguson. There was 10,000 to overdrive for the library. So,
Okay,
know
I
you
didn't want
get-
you
I
to
know you
waste
get
your
the
time,
list,
but,
but-
you know, getting-
I figured as I was going through, I'd make little notes so I could answer the question.
all right, board member concerns. We have a relatively short agenda today. Dan?
I just had a question for you. In somewhere in our prep, I read that the college is looking at doing a utility project, a power utility project that you've been talking to them about. Did I read that correctly?
They have for a while, but it's gotten geared back up. No, I hadn't really talked to them about it, but Ross Conrad had wanted to try to re-energize the, you're talking about the water utility
Hydro.
project.
Yeah, I assume that's what it was, so they're,
And I found out that they're also interested in it.
That's
And
what I read.
I think, well, it's great for us. We have had Dave Hallam work for years on it, and, you know, if the college can make it happen, all the more power to them, and so.
Who owns the who is the property owner who owns the sluiceway or wherever the generator would be installed?
Yeah, it's Holmes,
Anders.
Anderson.
Anders Holmes.
Gotcha.
And we've tried negotiate, I've never personally negotiated with them on it, but we've had town staff and through attorneys, and it's, every time it just keeps getting shot down at the last minute, feeling like, you know, there's a tremendous amount of cost to make that happen, and I don't think it's, especially now, I don't think it's necessarily a great investment for the town if we can't have access to the property at a fair price, so.
Sure.
But the college is trying to do everything net zero, and they may be willing to pay a little bit more. So that's,
okay, thank you.
that's kind of the latest. And I encourage Ross to let them see if they could make something happen, because we've got other things that are high priority for the board, and I didn't feel like that was,
Right.
that was on our. Andy?
The library had our annual retreat on Sunday, followed by our regular meeting last evening. And in that time, we came up with what feel like very good mission and vision statements. I am never impressed by these short, pithy statements. But when you see the effort that goes into every word and agonize over the particular phrasing and choice, you get some sense of how the 50 or so that we reviewed, as we pulled ideas from here and there, just the sum of effort that goes into this is massive. Anyway, it feels very good. I think it encapsulates what the library wants to be and how it likes to think of the town and its role therein.
You care to share that pithy statement?
You know, it's about to be posted on the website, and there's a request out for those who are interested to please provide feedback on it. I think that will go out in the next library newsletter, which should be at the end of the month.
Is that the same that Steve Gross sent to us?
Yes, it is the one that he sent to
He sent
the
it, yeah.
Ilsley group this morning.
You want me to send it to you, Brian? I can send it.
Speaking of this particular property owner of student housing, they did a great job on 90%, 95% of the project in our neighborhood, and then stopped with
Where's the lawn?
Yeah, where's the lawn? Why is there construction debris along the side of the property?
I drive by
that
that
hasn't
place a
been
lot,
picked
and
up?
I'm like, God, you made the place look nice.
Why has it never been mowed in the middle of June? They got right right close to the finish line and got it rented and walked away. I empathize with the folks that came and talked to us earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Heather?
I don't have anything tonight.
Okay,
Thanks.
Farhad?
I'm just wondering, have you or Kathleen reached out to Senator Sanders or anybody about the Amtrak? Remember the opening of the Amtrak?
I have not. No, I haven't done a thing.
It's getting closer to us, the
Yeah.
date.
Do we have the date again?
I think it's July 21st
They
or
have
the
the date of the
28th.
opening.
Mm-hmm.
End of July sometime.
Have to make yourself a note. Okay, anything else, Farhad?
Nope, thank you.
Esther?
So as Karen was talking about the upcoming events, I got really excited because I remember when I first moved here in the summer of 2019, I attended the block party. And that, I guess, with me and the kiddos, I was just so happy to be in Middlebury. So to have that come back makes me really excited and happy to be here. So I'm excited to see all that's going to happen this summer. So yeah.
Yeah, the block party, and that was in the middle of the rail project.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm glad you felt good
on the
about that.
bridge.
Yeah, I felt good about it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, adding to Andy's update on Ilsley, I'm not sure how many people are aware, but Ilsley has a wonderful teen group called the Teen Advisory, I think it's just Teen Advisory Group, run by Catherine LaLiberty, who is the teen and tween librarian, and their teens and our teens at the teen center wanted to have a pride parade. So we are inviting everyone to our pride parade on Saturday. We have intentionally kept it a little bit out of the media and a little bit low-key because neither Catherine nor I really have any sense of what we're doing. But I did call Karen Duguay, and she was very gracious to give me a very long, like 45-minute rundown. So we'll see how I do. It might be a disaster, but it will be a homey and fun disaster. We're gonna start here at College Park at 12 noon on Saturday and just walk to the green. It's not gonna be a very long parade. And then we have a teen band lined up to play. And we'll have some yard games, bring a picnic, so just, it'll be a nice time. So, and obviously we're hoping it's something we could do, regularly every year, but it will depend on how this goes. But I'm sure the teens would really appreciate your support. They've been really working hard to put things together. So yeah, we're inviting everyone.
Isn't Karen good?
She's wonderful
She's a great.
in all things. I don't know where she gets the energy.
She's good.
So I noticed in Dana's report that the grant that she requested, it wasn't a grant, I guess, for the congressional, it was federally directed.
The Leahy, yeah.
For congressional funding from Leahy did not get moved forward, which was the fourth, believe that was the $4 million request to help rehab the library, so.
Right.
That was quick and shot down quickly.
Yeah.
so.
They did move one of our community projects,
Right.
though, for renovation and work on St. Mary's.
Yeah,
So I think it's one of those deals where you have to try every year, and for us to get two large projects in one
Yeah.
community might have been a bridge too far.
yep.
Lindsay, what time is the parade?
The parade is at noon on
Noon.
Saturday.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
That'll be it.
I don't have anything, so we
hang
do
on,
need an
sorry.
executive
Fred
session.
has his hand up. Okay, if I let him in?
Yeah?
Sorry, I'm not paying 100% attention.
That's all right.
You're on mute, Fred. There you go.
Hi, just a comment, a brief comment. Brian is right, it's not the first time in years that there have been parties in town. And I would just submit to you that your town charter has all the power that is necessary to regulate gatherings on public and private properties. And go back and read it. It's very clear. And I drafted some things for Tom Hanley that Jen and Kathleen have regarding alcohol, cannabis, several months ago. But you might look again at what your authority is and that you may not realize you have in the public assembly permit to regulate things, to address the concerns raised earlier in the citizen comments section. I'll leave it there.
Okay, thanks, Fred.
Yeah.
So who would like to take us into executive session?
I only know of one person who's ever done it.
I can do it, hang on. I'm just trying to do, I'm exceeding my multitasking ability here.
You want me to do it?
You wanna do it?
Thank you.
Take care, thanks for coming.
Already, okay.
I got it right here. Go ahead, you do it.
I have frequently had, as part of the motion, to mention which town staff people are invited into the executive session. So for the meeting minutes, it's clear who all was in attendance. I know that's not been our practice, but if we have Kathleen or Jen or someone who we need to bring in, just to have that as part of the motion so that it's clear who we were conversing with, if anyone on the board. Just an idea.
Have we had any? How often?
We always have only Kathleen.
They're all
which-
recorded,
Kathleen.
so. I mean, it's evident.
There is video evidence now.
No, they're,
Well, that's right, we don't record these, that's right. we
No,
don't
we
record
don't, yeah,
Yeah, anyway,
Yep.
it's a thing that I've seen done.
yeah.
That's all.
Well, I think certainly if we had anyone outside of the norm,
Yeah.
we should
Yeah.
let people know who was there.
I agree if we have anybody other than the board and the town manager.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
good.
I think that's important if we brought in Chief Hanley or something like that.
Excellent.
Okay. So in accordance with Vermont's open meeting law requirements, I move that the board find that premature general knowledge of the consideration of, I don't know why it's repeated, but real estate matters and contracts would clearly place the select board at a substantial disadvantage because the select board risks disclosing its litigation strategy if it discusses the real estate matters and contracts in public.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I further move that the board enters into executive session to discuss real estate matters and contracts under the provisions of Title I, Section 313, A1 of Vermont statutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we're moving into executive session at 8:05.
Can you expect voting?